The first guest of the evening is truly a poet. He's an artist. He is a friend and an inspiration to anyone who I think who has ever played the guitar or tried to write poetry. Would you please welcome Gordon Lightfoot?
Softly she comes, whispers the breeze with her passing. In secret love she is laughing. Softly she comes in the night. This is Carefree Highway Revisited, the show that celebrates the work of Gordon Lightfoot song by song. I'm your host, Mike Messner, and along with me today is a good friend and a fellow Lightfoot fan from Quipawa, Quebec, making her 6th appearance on the show, Adele Chalifoux. Adele, how are you? Thanks for being with me today.
Well, thanks for having me. 6. Let's make it. Let's see if we can get to 10, Mike. Let's see.
Okay, well, I think we can probably do that. So
Okay.
what's new with you since the last time we were together?
Just working and being a mom and being a student and doing all the things that we think that we can do in a day, just that sort of chaos, really.
All right. And before we went on the air, though, you said that you were taking a course that I thought was kind of interesting. It was about the First Nations. Is that right?
Yeah, so I am going into my second year of social work degree. However, this course is an Indigenous history course being offered here. I'm currently in North Bay, Ontario, and it's being offered on Nipissing First Nation, which is just outside of town, and it's through my school, and it's being taught by an elder from the community, as well as another professor from the university. And we only just started it today, but it's been very touching and personal and deep and spiritual and moving, and it's exciting.
That's amazing. And I hope that you'll keep us up to date and keep me up to date on what you're learning in that, because it really sounds very cool. So today we're talking about Softly, and I wanted to know what you like about the song or why you wanted to talk about it. I mean, for me, it's an absolutely beautiful chord progression, and it's very simply done. Like all good Lightfoot songs, it doesn't try to do too much with the guitar work. And it leaves a lot of mystery about who this person is and exactly what the relationship is. I mean, we can read between the lines and figure out what's going on, but we're not really sure who this person is and where she is in the narrator's life. So why did you like it?
I think it's just quintessentially Lightfoot. It's just another one of his insanely romantic, beautiful, kind of mysterious songs that he had a lot of in his early career, all throughout his career. But I think this is so like quintessentially 60s Lightfoot. I don't know if you could really get much better, and it's just so beautiful.
You said that it was quintessentially 60s Lightfoot, and we'll talk a little bit about the different versions of it because there are at least 2. Do you have any anecdotal stories about the song, about it meant something to you at a certain part in your life?
Not really. I've always loved it and enjoyed it, and I actually really like singing this song. I think it's just so melodic, and yeah, I guess that's all there is to say, really.
I've had a couple of times in my life where I've thought about this song waking up. And I have to tell you that that is the best time for me to listen to this, although I've never jumped out of bed and played it. But waking up with the dawn breaking, just like the lyrics say, that to me is probably the best time for me to listen to it, or where it's more resonant. Is this one that you could listen to anytime, or is there a particular setting that this would be just the perfect soundtrack for that moment in Adele's life?
I can listen to Lightfoot anywhere at any time, but I think that this one is very summer feeling for me. I don't know if it's because it's soft and it's almost delicate, but I think, yeah, like in a nice warm summer night with a nice summer breeze, maybe looking out at the lake or bonfire or something, or just being with the one you love, I think it would probably be the best place for me.
Yeah, although hopefully the person would not be leaving at the end of the evening the way it was, in the song. I can't find very much about how the song got written, and maybe there is no record of how it got written, but what I do have and I think this is from the liner notes on his songbook album, said, and I'm quoting directly, he's got somebody coming to visit him. I've had that happen a few times. Tender love song, a little spacey, but it has a positive outcome. Even though she leaves at daybreak, she's coming back. It hints at the supernatural. And I thought that's kind of interesting. I never thought of it being a spacey song, and I never thought of it being particularly supernatural. I always hoped that she's coming back, but he never actually says, see you again tonight or something like that. Anything you can add to either the origins of the song or what Gordon said himself?
I haven't been able to find anything either. I don't really agree with the supernatural kind of spacey vibe to it. It feels very intentional. There's the word. It doesn't feel spacey to me. And honestly, it feels to me like we know, especially young Lightfoot, he was having a lot of loves, let's just say, even though at the time he was married to Brita. When I hear the song, that's what it means. That's what I think of. I think of, oh, she's coming over in the nighttime. She's perhaps going back to a husband in the morning. It's kind of like a tryst song to me. Kind of like Affair on 8th Avenue. Yeah, it's kind of the same kind of vibe for me. Like he's saying goodbye to his lover and I'll see you again tonight when, your husband's not home or, whatever. That's kind of a spicy song, I think, in the most Lightfoot way possible.
It's interesting that you mentioned Affair on 8th Avenue, partially because they're in major versus minor keys, but partially because the nature of the songs is so different. Affair on 8th Avenue, it's about a tryst, but it feels a little tawdry and a little bit kind of, they know that they shouldn't be doing this, but they're doing it anyway. And with Softly, there's real love there. And it's kind of like, we're not even going to think about the consequences. We're not going to think about the morality about this. We're just going to enjoy the fact that we're loving each other. And clearly it's in a sexual sense. But I don't think there's anything supernatural about it. I don't think there's anything spacey about it. I think it's just very lush and very romantic. So the lyrics, softly she comes, whispers the breeze with her passing. In secret love, she is laughing. Now, you kind of alluded to this a minute ago. It's secret love. So it's an affair. It's illicit in some sense, because otherwise she'd be coming during the daytime. At night, she has some freedom. She won't be seen as easily. You mentioned that it was a summer song. Well, there's no mention of the weather, which means that the weather is probably nondescript. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Does that kind of say it all about that line?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just kind of wispy.
Yeah. Wispy would probably be good also. Softly she sighs, sweetly she lies, never sleeping. Okay, so these two are making love all night, or maybe they're having pillow talk sessions, but both of them are going to be in terrible shape in the morning. She's got to go back to wherever it is she came from and either pretend that everything is all right, or she has to get to her job. He is a working musician, so maybe he gets to sleep in because he doesn't have a gig until that night or something like that. Her fragrance all in my keeping. That's another echo of Affair on 8th Avenue. Okay, the perfume that she wore was from some little store, but it could also be something else. I mean, we all know, and you being in social work, I'm sure that you've taken some psychology classes, and you know that odor is a powerful memory trigger. So he's really taking in how she smells, and he's going to remember that. And that could be just what she smells like when they're doing what it is they're doing, or her own body chemistry or things like that.
It could be her hair. I think we've all had that experience where you go to hug somebody, or, a woman or a man, they flip their hair and you just get the scent of, their hair. It could be a lot of things. That line feels very intimate to me. I don't know why. When you're lying right next to someone and you're smelling their neck or something, it's very intimate without being too spicy for the time.
Yeah, and he phrases it and he arranges it in such a way that this is not lewd and lascivious. He's
Exactly.
just, she's being
Yeah.
so sensual
Yeah.
about this. I think that's the word that we've been looking
Yes.
for in this conversation
Yes.
is sensual.
Going back to my first episode with you, it's kind of like approaching lavender. Like it's the same kind of vibe, I think.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about putting those two next to each other, but that would be a good comparison. Yeah, thanks for that idea. You're listening to Carefree Highway Revisited. We'll be right back after a word from a podcast partner or two.
250 and Counting is the podcast that walks you through American history one day at a time.
I'm Mike Messner.
I'm Claude Call.
Join us as we spend just a couple of minutes with you
Each day,
telling you about the events that took place exactly 250 years ago on that date.
you'll learn more about the big events
And the small events.
that led to American independence.
Look for 250 and Counting in your favorite podcast software.
That's 250 and Counting from Acroasis Media.
Sandro, look!
Yes, Zach? Wait, what's that thing you're holding up?
It's a time travel device. We can use it to go back to the past and watch movies.
But we already do that on our podcast, Oldie But a Goodie.
No, on previous episodes we were pretending to time travel. Now we can do it for real.
Cool, so we can really go back to like the 80s or the 90s?
No, Sandro, you're thinking too little. I mean, we could go really far back, like we traveled back over 100 years into the past.
Oh, but Zach, that's so far in the past. Those movies would be old.
Yeah, but, well, our show is called Oldie But a Goodie, so we should probably do old movies.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's right, folks. This year on Oldie But a Goodie, we're going back further than ever before.
Wait, who are you talking to?
We're starting in 1920s, doing one movie from that year, and then moving up to 1921. And we're continuing that until the year 1969.
Nice.
Join our time-traveling journey through cinema by subscribing now to Oldie But a Goodie, out wherever you get your podcasts.
That's Not Canon Productions podcast.
Down the darkened hall, I hear her footsteps on my stair. Okay, it's a darkened hallway, so that means it's probably a tenement or an apartment building of some kind. It's not a hotel room, because most hotels that I've ever been in, you shut the door, but there's lights on in the corridor, so that if you're coming back in the middle of the night, you can find your room. There are stairs, which means that she is either trying to stay out of sight, because, you know, back in these days, there were still elevator boys. So we don't want any witnesses to what we're doing.
This line really, reading it now, is kind of like a foreshadowing to Sundown, if you think about it. Obviously, he didn't mean to do it. He wrote it how many years earlier, but that's the kind of thing I'm getting, you know, like her maybe going down a fire escape or going through the back door, you know, trying to avoid the walk of shame, I guess you could say.
Yeah, okay.
Especially back then in the 60s, you know?
Oh, yeah. When it was, you know, it truly was a walk of shame, because there was no doubt. I mean, nowadays, maybe we've just become so inured to it that it's just, yeah, so what? But it was much more humiliating back in those days.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought of with the stairs is that maybe this building can't afford an elevator. Maybe it's been around for a long time and they haven't retrofitted it. So if it's old, that kind of implies that it's inexpensive. And that's not to say that he's dirt poor, although he's a working musician. This was early in his career. He certainly wasn't rich.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So he wasn't rich, but that's another element. I had not thought about Sundown, but as we're having this conversation, this is the seed for a whole lot of different songs that he's going to write. So 100%. Yeah, good thinking. The other thing I just thought of, I hear her footsteps on my stair. He's listening for her. He can't wait to see her. Yep. So it's not like, well, she shows up when she shows up. No. I mean, I'm waiting on tenterhooks, you know, for this lady to come and be with me.
Yeah, you can almost see him looking at his watch, you know, just hearing the tick-tocks of his watch going, like, where is she?
Yeah, looking at the wall, wishing you'd call. There's another one. Gosh, what a great way to start the season. And she is in my arms once more. Okay, this has been going on for a while. She's been here before. She could probably get there blindfolded. And then he just ends right. She is in my arms once more. And he probably doesn't want to kiss and tell at this point, because the next bit of it is cut away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out.
You can almost feel the absolute relief. You know, we've all been there where we've just been so enamored with somebody, and you would walk through rattlesnakes and whatever it is just to get to that person, right? To get that hit of dopamine or whatever it is when you see them. So it's kind of like that. Or maybe he's had a long day, and you can feel the longing in that sentence. For me, is what I feel there.
Then softly she goes, her shining lips in the shadows whisper goodbye at my window. And this is just so poetic. And I think about her either blowing him a kiss through the window from down in the street, you know, like he's looking out the window and she's looking up at him going, mwah, or she's mouthing some sort of farewell, you know, like goodbye or I love you or something like that.
Her lips shining in the shadows. Like, that's just delightful. Like, it's just beautiful. He's just such a poet. Like, you're right. And yeah, I can see him looking through the curtains at her, and she's just walking. Maybe she's walking backwards, waving, you know, running down the street, you know, like it's a very romantic scene.
I'm almost thinking of the last time I saw her.
Yeah.
Although there's not the same kind of verbal allusions. But again, this is probably peas in a pod with that. Softly she goes in the dawn. Okay, she has to get back before she's seen, before her husband comes home, before her boyfriend comes home, before the clock starts on her job. He doesn't say she'll be back again, but I almost feel like he should have. That's the only ethereal part of the song to me. Okay, that if you don't read it carefully, it just seems like it's a one-night stand. She came, she's here, she's gone. And then that's the end of the story. And you kind of wish that he said, softly she comes again, or something like that. But that doesn't make me feel any less satisfied with the song.
100%. It just kind of, you can feel the intent that she will be back. Like, okay, see you again tonight, or see you this weekend, or something. Like, it just feels like you said at the beginning, like it's a song full of love. It's not just like a sordid one night affair type of thing, which I'm sure he had a lot of on the road, but it feels like there's someone that he's having an actual connection more than just a physical connection with. So
the word love is only mentioned once, but it is mentioned. And so this is something that he feels more wholehearted about, I think. I also think it's interesting that she came to him. He didn't go to her, which maybe he couldn't go to her, so she had to come to him. Again, this is not People magazine. We'll never know, but fun to think about, I guess. So the song originally appeared on The Way I Feel, which was his second original album. It was released in 1967. It was the third song on the record. And although it's an absolutely beautiful song, it was not released as a single. The album did not chart anywhere that I know of, not even in Canada. But then it was still very early in his career. It's only his second album. I have no idea how well it sold. And I don't know if he got a silver, a gold, or a platinum disc for it.
I'm not sure. You know, it's really shocking, but I do know at the beginning of his career, he didn't exactly have the greatest PR. There wasn't a lot of that happening, which is really quite a shame, because I think he's a high hitter. You know, I don't think there's much difference between him and Dylan, if you ask me. That's probably controversial to a couple of people, but he's the Canadian Dylan, let's just say.
Sure.
And, you know, that album had some really great songs. It had Song for a Winter's Night. It had Canadian Railroad Trilogy, The Way I Feel. It had a lot of pretty heavy hitters. So it's really too bad. I'm quite surprised that Softly didn't get released as a single, because it's very Lightfoot. I think he probably would have done well for him, especially in 67 or 68.
I think you alluded to this in a conversation we had before, but what's your favorite musical aspect of either one of the recordings, either the original or the remake that was made in 75?
I think for me, I've listened to them so many times, back and forth, comparing. I think it's the voice that wins it over for me. I don't think it's necessarily any of the instruments or any of that. I think it's his voice. Such a wonderful performance he did in both versions. But for me, voice. hands down.
The voice always carries it. It's almost a truism, but it goes without saying that his voice is going to be, if not the most, certainly among the most beautiful things, because he had a great instrument up until the very end. The 12-string was played very gently, and it was mixed in such a way that it was done just right, because 12 strings are kind of like dropping nitroglycerin into a folk song, because it can either totally overpower it or it can be just the right touch. And Gordon played the 12-string a lot, probably more than any of his contemporaries. They really did a nice job in not having that overpower the rest of it. And then the steel guitar, I think, was also done very tastefully on the remake. The people who played on the remake were Gordon Red, John Stockfish, Ken Buttrey, although I don't hear any percussion on this, but he was listed as the percussionist, and then Charles McCoy playing the Celeste and the bells. Again, I don't hear any of those either, but I wanted to at least mention them. Okay, so this is one where our paths diverge on this, but we still like each other. Which one do you prefer between the two?
This one was a hard one. I think I have come to the conclusion that the original, I think, is my preferred for a couple of reasons. It is quite schmoozy. However, it is very 60s lounge singer. It's a product of its time, 100% for sure, hands down, 1,000,000%. But I find, first of all, it's longer. You get more, which is nice. And his voice is just so clear and crisp, and obviously young. He was only in his 20s, but it's just so perfect. He's got the most perfect amount of vibrato. I love that. The Gord Gold version is better. It's a little too twangy for my personal taste. I think that's where he was in his musical journey at that time. So again, I think that is also a product of his environment. His voice is a lot deeper, I find, but it's not as clear. And the amount of vibrato he's got in that one is just out of this world. Like, I think that was probably the height of his voice. I don't think you can beat that. But for me, I like the younger, smoothier version, I think. So it's a close second. If you listen to them back to back, you can really hear the differences in between them. But for me, it's the original. I think I know what you're going to say. What are you going to say?
Well, yeah. The fact that it's more of a cha-cha song, okay, it is more of a lounge feel to it. It may be a product of the time and the place. I mean, I've never been to Toronto. I don't know what clubs there were or are, but it comes off as less of a folk song on the original, whereas the re-release really does come across as a folk song. You mentioned his voice, and I agree with you that the voice was purer on the first one because he was younger. I mean, what would he have been then? Late 20s?
28-ish, yeah. I think,
28. Yeah. When he does the re-recording, he's 35, 36. And that's pretty close to... It is, but it's still pretty close to vocal prime. And even for somebody who smoked as much as he did and drank as much as he did and did things that are not generally good for your voice, I think there was more color to it.
Oh, it was a lot more deep. It had a lot more depth. It was rougher, sexier, I guess you could also kind of say. Very different, for sure.
Yeah, so I prefer the Gord's Gold release, but again, you and I cancel each other out, and so other people can decide which one they like. You're listening to Carefree Highway Revisited. We'll be right back after a word from a podcast partner or two.
In 1942, when the world needed a hero to fight the forces of evil, a woman had the courage to step forward. Her name was Helen Meeker. Her adventures took her across the United States and behind the lines of both the European and Pacific fronts. President Franklin Roosevelt trusted her judgment. Adolf Hitler put a price on her head. And in the face of overwhelming odds, She battled through everything that was thrown at her, dodged death countless times, and challenged the most diabolical figures in history. The star of more than 20 novels, Helen Meeker proved her grit and determination time and time again. And now the Long Highway Players bring the book series to life on the airways. These exciting dramas will place you in the middle of the action, immerse you in riveting drama, plunge you into unimagined intrigue, and confound you with dark mysteries, while giving you the opportunity to live adventures in a time when the fate of the world hung in the balance. Enjoy the exploits of Helen Meeker and follow author Ace Collins's In the President's Service series on That's Not Canon Podcast Network.
The American West is a place of lore and legend, of triumphs and tragedies. No one can tell the true stories of the West better than author Rick Steber, and now there's a podcast showcasing his work. It's called Writing the West, and every episode will feature his short stories and his poetry. If you want to know the true stories of cowboys, pioneers, miners, and Native Americans, this 15-minute podcast is for you. Writing the West is available on Spotify, Audible, Podbean, or wherever you get your listening matter. That's Writing the West, the work of Rick Steber. Gordon played this song 14 times in concert. The first time was on October 5th, 1968 at the Fillmore West, just up the road from me in San Francisco. The Fillmore West isn't there anymore, but it was a very important venue in its day. The record had been out for about 6 months by that time, so I don't know if he was actively promoting it or whether it was just his management saying, okay, you got to go out there and do another show. The last time he played it was on April 21st, 1995 at the Louisville Palace Theater in Louisville, Kentucky. Another place that I haven't been, although it's on my bucket list because I've heard so many great things about Louisville. Adele, did you ever get to hear him play it live?
No, I didn't. I did not. But I'm surprised only 14 times. Wow. In a span of, his huge career. I'm surprised by that, actually.
I am too. And as I'm sitting here, one of the reasons may have been is that it's a fairly short song in the revised version. In the original, it is longer, but he's repeating himself.
That's true. But a lot of his songs are quite short. So I would have thought it would have been an easy one to pull off on stage. Just kind of pull out of your back pocket. Yeah. So I'm surprised.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it says a lot that he had such a great big toolbox to draw from that one kind of took a back seat. There are 6 official covers that I've found of this, and I think you have heard some of them, if not all of them. The Sandpipers did it, and the Sandpipers did great with Guantanamera, but I haven't heard any of their other stuff, I'm ashamed to admit.
Okay.
Harry Belafonte, who I'm kind of trying to think about this done as a calypso song is difficult for me. Turley Richards, Cloud Street, and Phil Upchurch are the other artists who have recorded it. Neil Chodam and John Arpin have both done this as instrumentals. So I guess that would be 7 altogether, but 5 vocal versions. So have you heard any of the ones that I've mentioned, the vocal versions, and do you have any thoughts on them?
I did. The Sandpiper one made me giggle a little bit because it's just so 60s, and I love it. I love it so much. It's exactly what you think a 60s song should sound like. The harmonies are great, though. I will say that. It's very like New Christie minstrel type of vibe. It's exactly the same. I get it. But if you're going to do a cover, like kind of make it your own.
Yeah.
Don't exactly do exactly. And that's what I felt with most of these were. The Harry Belafonte one also kind of made me giggle. He's got a fantastic voice, for sure. It's a different vibe. I mean, he kind of switched it up a little bit. He tried. I'll give him the gold star for effort. A couple of them I could not find at all, but I did find the Phil Upchurch one, and I loved it. I thought it was really, really well done.
Okay. Well, that's one that I'm going to have to look up, and then now I got 3 versions that I need to listen to. Is there anybody that you wish had covered this or that you wish would cover this?
I've been trying to think about that, and I don't think so. I don't know. I can't think of anyone that I would want to hear do a cover of this. Maybe like a men's choir could probably, or a men's small group, maybe they could do it probably pretty good justice. But other than that, I can't think of any actual musicians other than Gord that I would ever want to hear.
The only one that I'm thinking of, although he has kind of retired from the music business, I would like to have heard Stephen Stills try this because he had Texas twang and his voice had been beaten up by whiskey bottles by the time he got into the music business. But he also had a real sensitive side, and he wasn't well known for singing other people's words, but I think he could have done a good job on this. A choral version, I would have to think about that for a little bit. I'm not saying it wouldn't be beautiful, but it would be a different vibe.
You know what? I'm going to go online after and I'm going to see if we can find that. And
Okay.
we'll talk about it. We'll discuss.
Great. Adele, as we're kind of wrapping up, any other questions you have on this song?
No, I don't think so. I think it's one of his better ones. I mean, he's got so many, so it's so hard to say. That's subjective too. I mean, it really depends on all of the things. It's just quintessentially early Lightfoot for me, and I think it'll always be a classic, and I think it's very popular. I think it's a very well-known Lightfoot song. Would you agree with that?
I would have to kind of survey the people that I know that are as religious about Lightfoot as you and I are, and not just casual listeners. Okay. And when I say casual listener, if I have to tell somebody that he was the guy who did If You Could Read My Mind, or he was the guy who did Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, they're not going to know this one. But if I were to talk to people who are true devotees of folk music or Canadian music or both, then I think a lot of them would know that. But I do agree that it's certainly better known than, you know, Hang Dog Hotel Room or some of the ones
Biscuit City. Yeah.
Biscuit City, the ones that are really, really obscure. Even I think it's better known than Spin Spin, frankly.
Would you consider this one like a deep cut?
Well, by definition, it is. I mean, it was the third song on the record, okay, which means that they listened to it more than they would have if he'd put it on the B side. It wasn't released as a single. And so the fact that it was not the first track on either side A or side B, and it wasn't the second track on either side A or side B, by definition, that means it is a deep cut. But that doesn't mean it's a worse song. If anything, I think it's more beautiful than some of the other ones, even on The Way I Feel.
100%. I agree with that. The B-side of that album is phenomenal. Like, I think personally the B-side is the best side of that album. So if I could change things, which I obviously can't, I would put Softly down there.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
That may be giving me an idea for some other questions I could ask some guests. Adele Chalifoux, it's always so much fun to talk Lightfoot with you. So thank you for taking the time, and hope to have you on the show again. We're gunning for 10 appearances. Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. I'm in.
And thanks for listening, everybody. If you like this well enough to listen to the whole thing, tell somebody about it. Carefree Highway Revisited is on Apple, Spotify, Acast, or wherever you get your listening matter. I'd like to make a special request for you to visit my Patreon page. I love this show so much, and I want to keep it going, and you're in a position to help. Please head over to www.patreon.com/Carefree Highway Revisited. $1 or $2 a month is all I ask. You can reach me, Mike Messner, at teachermike72@gmail.com. Well, our next guest will be Jerry Candiston from Montreal, Quebec, making his second appearance on the podcast. And he and I will be discussing Does Your Mother Know from the 1968 Did She Mention My Name album. That episode will be coming out in early September 2025. Until then, for Adele Chalifoux, this is Mike Messner reminding you, run for the roses, but don't forget to stop and smell them. We'll see you next time.